Oh, good morning. When I was growing up in Chile and attending day school, the month of March and April were busy with preparations for Purim, then Pesach, and then three other celebrations that were put in the calendar mainly by the teachers that came to Chile to teach us from Israel. And those three extra moments of remembrance and jubilation were Yom HaShoah, which we had a sizable amount of Holocaust survivors, the day of the Holocaust, and then Yom HaZikaron, the day of remembrance of the soldiers who died defending and creating the state of Israel. And then the next day was Yom Haatzmaut, the day of independence. Yom Yerushalayim, the day of Jerusalem, had not begun to be celebrated because we just had few years past prior, we had the 6-Day War. But in the commemoration of Yom HaShoah, we saw an incredible parade of Holocaust survivors, mainly from Europe, from Poland and Germany. When it came to Yom HaZikaron, we saw Israeli teachers who had lost relatives, siblings, parents during the different wars of Israel. So it was very clear that those days of Yom HaZikaron were deeply felt in the Jewish community. The state of Israel designated the 5th of Iyar to be Yom HaZikaron, Yom Haatzmaut, and they sandwiched them together because we have the siren in Israel during the day. At night, we have a military ceremony, and then immediately after that ceremony ends, it begins the celebration of Yom Haatzmaut, the Day of Independence. But when the 5th of Iyar falls on Shabbat, then we have a problem. And the tradition of Israel tells us that we should move that to the 3rd of Iyar, which is today. So last night we began Yom HaZikaron, we had for today, and then tonight will be Yom Haatzmaut, the celebration of Israel's independence, 73 years of independence. And all over the world, there are very different kinds of commemorations and celebrations. Last night, I attended to a beautiful one where all over the world, from Chile to Israel, there were people that had a connection with someone who had fought and perished during the different wars of Israel. It was very moving to hear the voice of the relatives, to see pictures of those who have died, and to see young soldiers, among them my nephew, who are serving in the Israeli army today, and take a moment to remember those who have fallen. It's a very moving ceremony. And tonight, we will begin the celebration of Yom Haatzmaut. There was a wonderful piece written in the Times of Israel that I published. I cut and paste or share with you in Facebook a reflection on the 73 years of Israel, a remarkable nation. We absolutely are one with Israel. We celebrate the incredible accomplishments of the state of Israel, and we hope that it might continue living in peace with its neighbors as Israel keeps connecting and making valuable ties with neighbors who understand finally that Israel is there to exist and to have peace with its neighbors. All this within our regular Torah portion and our regular celebration of Shabbat. There will be Shabbat, of course, and it will be the reading of Parsha Tazria-Metzora. This parashiyot are very difficult sometimes to understand. It talks about purification of the body and skin diseases and sacrifices brought to expiate for those situations. They're difficult to understand, but they are within a context of trying to make the people of Israel special in the sense that we should take care of those who are ill. We should put them in quarantine. Sound familiar? And we have to try to save their lives and then incorporate them back into the community. All that to remain alive and to remain healthy within the Jewish community. From the Torah's perspective, all these elements were in many ways spiritually connected. So Metzora, for example, is considered to be Motzi Shem Ra, someone who speaks ill of someone else. Gossiping was considered to be creating an illness. And it does, it creates an illness of the spirit. And Judaism make a huge connection between illnesses of the spirit and real illnesses. And I know that scientists have connected those in the modern world and understood that our state of being, our minds, our spirit, have a lot to say about the way we physically feel about things and how we fight illness and how we're able to come out triumphant and healthy. We hope that this commemoration, celebration of Israel and this Torah portion will bring, again, a sense of community and a sense of interest into your life, and that you will connect with us Friday night and Shabbat as well. We have many B'nai Mitzvah throughout the month of May and June. We are looking forward to celebrate with those families. We celebrated last week with the Marcus family, and we're looking forward to more celebrations throughout the spring and summer. I wish you a good Shabbos, and again, a special celebration for the 73 years of the State of Israel. Shalom.